Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. We're here and this first lecture here, we're going to talk about beginning writing the fiction research essay. There's the guidelines here, and the example paper that I've done is on the character of Elisa in the Chrysanthemums. So that's off limits. However, if you want to write about a different literary device used in the Chrysanthemum, such as, say here, symbolism, that'd be okay. So the character of Elisa is off limits, but the story, the Chrysanthemums, is on the table so long as you don't write about the character of Elisa. Different guidelines we have here. These should be familiar by now, right, with these extended papers that we're working on. Introduction, 3 body paragraphs of discussion that supports your main idea, your thesis, and then the conclusion. We want to always use quotes from the story to support our discussion. And since this is a research essay, we also have some new stuff coming in. We talked about this during information literacy. Right? We can't go to Google. We can't go on the internet for all those different reasons that we covered in that module and that unit. Remember, you want to use the databases through the library's webpage. If you need a quick refresher on that, jump back into the module on information literacy. Notice that this is not a great big research essay. You know, you see the word count there, and that's going to come out to be like 2 to 3 pages in length, which is not crazy. Please note that the story itself does not count as a reference. I know, and you might have noticed earlier, the works cited page does not count towards length. I know. We want to use MLA documentation, always. Don't forget that works cited page. And we have to use research in each body paragraph. Why? Because this is a research essay. It's got to be in there, Remember that writing is always a process. Way too many people, when they see this completed essay, they think, oh, this is how it started, and that's false. Right? It starts off as an idea. Before that, how does it start off? Well, it starts off looking at the text. This should look familiar. Hopefully it does. This is the annotated text that we did for the Chrysanthemums with our earlier essay. This is how it starts. Just go through, annotate that text after reading it multiple times. One thing you'll see with reading short fiction is that it's like an onion or a parfait or an ogre. Hopefully got the Shrek reference there. And then it has layers. Each time you go through and you read, you uncover more and more and more. So that's one thing I always encourage writers to do, is to read and read and read. That way you really start to dig through the story. Then what you have to do is, once you've isolated your literary device, whatever it is that you're going to work with, whether it's imagery or symbolism, or if we do characterization, whatever, so on and so forth, right? Nail that down. You'll notice from our purpose in writing here is how that one aspect aids in developing the story's theme. So then you're going to have to figure out, what is the theme of that story? I'll say that again. What is the theme of that story? Then, how does that literary device work in developing that theme? So in other words, there's got to be that support from your literary device into that theme. If you can't figure out, well, gosh, I got the theme down, Mr. K, but I can't figure out how the symbolism works to support the theme. If you can't figure that out, then you're going to have to go back to the beginning and start all over again, because that's our purpose in writing. Then once you get that done, right, you have that rough theme sketched out. Go ahead and start working up your outline. And what I decided to do, you might have noticed from the assignment, is really I'm taking that mini essay that we looked at before, and I said, wow, why should I reinvent the wheel? I'm just going to do some research on the character of Elisa and the chrysanthemums as it ties in with the theme that some barriers can never be crossed, right? So that's what I was looking for when I was doing my research. I had a really narrow focus. That's really important when you do your research, is you have to know what you're looking for before you start going through all of those articles. If you just jump into those databases and you're not knowing what you're doing, you're going to waste a lot of time, and it's really, really going to be frustrating. So let me go ahead and jump to my works cited page. And what I ended up with 4 articles that I pulled information from. I had more than 4 articles after I got done with my literature search. But then when I started to go through and flesh out, right, plug in my research into my previous mini essay, I realized that not everything made the cut. But please remember, you don't want to go below 3 resources. Let me pause here, press the pause button. This is actually a good thing to do with this paper. Before you begin your research, go ahead and draft it as like a mini essay. Even, if you only get, say, for example, 200 words, 250 words, that's great, because what do you have here? You have, number one, the most important thing, your thoughts and your ideas supported by what? Quotes from the text, right? A lot of people, when they approach a research essay, think, oh, I have to have these huge blocks of information from these articles, and I just drop them in. Negative, negative, negative. You don't want to do that. The foundation for a research essay is, number one, your thoughts and your words, support for that from the text. Again, please go ahead and draft out before you do research. That way you know what you're going to look for. And then you get to jump in and start to plug in your research. And don't forget, another part of the writing process, yes, you got to have something to keep you going, guys. You got to have it. And the next lecture, what we'll take a look at will be the little example paper that I have put together. I've got some highlighting here. I can see that. And we'll use that as we go through and we start to annotate. So I'll see everybody in just a minute.